Alright, take whatever this is. Canvas size, whatever you need it at. I'm doing a square because I don't know what I want to do. Okay, step 1, pencil tool. Thickness or size or whatever. I usually go at 1 or 2, usually 2. 1 is for if I'm actually trying for straight up pixel art, which I'm not this time. I usually go with this light gray color, although they're like any of them will work, it doesn't really matter. But it feels more like an actual sketch if I use something that looks like a pencil color. I think that's done enough for this. This is just supposed to be an example, so I'm trying not to make it take too long. So there's a sketch, a really simple one. Almost kind of looks like a Digimon, actually. Next thing, curve tool. And at least for the initial outline, I only do 1 pixel and I do it in black because, I don't know. Because like you could very well just do colored outlines. I like black outlines though. So I just go over the sketch with these curved lines. On other programs, I think this is like pretty much the equivalent of the Bezier tool, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have a hard time picturing like a physical object that would work like this. It's like I've gotten used to using like the curve tool where it's just a straight line. You get the 1 click to pull it in one direction, you get a 2nd click to kind of make it a bit smoother of a curve, or I don't know what to call that. I'm not used to trying to think of things as I draw. Usually I'm just watching YouTube or something, or illegally watching like cartoons and stuff. I put it in the sketch section that sometimes you can correct with other colors. That also applies to this sort of, I don't know, I want to call it the inking stage, but there's no ink. The ink simulation stage, where you just go over with, I probably could have done this in black, but you know, to show how to do things. Because I don't know, maybe it'll look weird when I zoom back out, but the feet seemed kind of on the small size, so wanted to make this one a little bit bigger. Using a different color just makes it so if it were a more complex drawing and it was something sort of on the inside, this would make it easier to tell like where the new lines are, and gives it a little bit easier of an idea of what should be erased. I don't know if anyone can hear that tapping as I go, but I'm just using the little finger pad thing on my laptop to draw. Because I'm too lazy to break out the tablet. Like I'd say about, 97 times out of 100. And also since I'm just more used to doing this, tablet actually feels more difficult to do. I usually only use the tablet like while trying to animate, just because that's how I was used to doing it when I was taking the class for it. Was a teacher would have us all get like drawing tablets, and I think it is a bit faster, especially when used in that way, but I don't know. And then usually a lot of times when I'm drawing, I don't really have like a table to place a mouse, so that's usually out of the question. Also, I don't remember where my mouse is. I might have let a brother borrow it, but it might also just be in a backpack somewhere, and I forgot about it, because I don't use it. Oh, now I'm on to second part of doing the lines where here I have on my like list of things, they're kind of out of order, but here I have erase the sketch lines. You don't need, like, it isn't necessarily a step 3. It's just kind of wherever you think you want that. And then I'm actually doing the touch-up line step right now. Thing about art, rules are not rules. Rules are like a starting point in amidst the chaos. Like that's your spawn point, is where the rules are, and then you can deviate from them afterwards, like once you figure out where you actually are, if that makes any sense. So for the outermost outline, I have it on the 3 pixel thing just because I like having thick outlines on the outside. It helps, at least in my head, it helps the character stand out a bit more. I don't know if this is even thick enough to do that, and a lot of times it also kind of depends on what colors the characters are and what color the background is. Complements are usually pretty easy to tell apart from each other because they're literally opposites. So in my head this thing is orange, so if I give it a background, it's probably going to be like some kind of blue. And then on second inspection, this leg is a bit too wide now, so I'm going to try to narrow it a little bit. Lengthwise, it still seems nice. And also, when doing stuff like this, it helps to have the different colors. But since that already was in a different color, I just went over it with the usual black, so. Okay, and I think at this point, I'll erase the sketch. So, make sure transparent selection is on. Select all. Cut. And also when you cut, make sure that the color too was on the what you wanted the background color to be, which for me is usually white, at least at this point. Then you select the color that you want to no longer be seen, and then paste, and it's gone. And I'm going to go over this with the red as well. And boom, no more red line. And then, had I done this video a couple years ago, the outlining would have probably stopped there, but I personally think it looks better if I give it more of this sort of doubling up on some of these lines. Yeah, I even have that written down. And for that, mostly using the 1 pixel tool, or like filling in those gaps with the pencil. Although, another thing that you could do, which, yeah, I think I'll do once I finish more of this up, is very similar to what I did to get rid of the sketches, but it's a little different. And also, if any outlines like don't look quite right, then could fix those up a little bit. I wonder if I'm just gonna have like a silent speed paint, or if I should have like some song playing in between when I talk and don't. Might be kind of funny to just have like random obnoxious stuff blaring every couple minutes. But then again, that might get really annoying after a while. And like I could just make like every song be a different song, and each one gets more grating than the last. I don't know, I'm probably not gonna do that one, or I might attempt it, but it's kind of hard to gauge what might be grating for some people. There are songs that I feel like should be annoying to me, but they aren't. There are some songs that, like, I'm surprised that I like them, because they seem like they seem in a style that I feel like I shouldn't like, but I do. But, like, it's just for that song. Or maybe it's not. Remember I'd said something on DeviantArt that, like, pretty much outright stated that I think country music is terrible. And although, on the other hand, I didn't say this part, but, like, I don't have a problem with folk music. So, I don't know where the... I feel like they're really similar, but I don't know, maybe it's the culture around them. I don't know. And then, since this thing's supposed to have, like, somewhat intimidating eyes, I think I'm also gonna give this one big outline eyes. I usually don't do that, where with some characters I'll do it, like, just on the bottom. So they sort of almost have that tired look. Maybe I'll do that to this one where it has thick outline everywhere on its eyes, but then, like, the bottom is extra thick. Extra thick! Extra thick! But that was kind of a reference to a moment in Samurai Jack, but I haven't actually seen the episode, so I don't have context, so I feel like he's ordering a pizza, but I feel like, for real, I kind of wonder if in the context of the episode he's not, but then I don't know what he would want that was extra thick besides pizza crust. like if he's ordering a bounty hunter or something and he wants them to be extra thick, like, what is that implying? I guess that's why it got popular, is because that phrase could also refer to, like, thigh and butt size. What would Aku want with pizza? Maybe to eat it? I thought he was like a demon, though. I thought demons didn't, like, need food. Date souls. I guess I could be wrong. I don't know, maybe I should just go watch Samurai Jack. Gonna add that to the ever-growing list of cartoons I want to watch. It's gonna have to wait in line for... Well, I was gonna finish up with Ben 10, but apparently there's a crossover with Generator X, so now I gotta go watch Generator X. I also want to watch JoJo's. Part 4 is being dubbed. I don't know how far it is yet, but I'm sure by the time I'm done with Generator X and Ben 10, it'll be done. So I can go watch JoJo's. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I just, like, filled in all the spaces that are going to have actual colors with a random color. I used red, but you could use, like, any color that you haven't used for this. And since I only have, like, black and white, anything that's not black and white would have worked. So then you make the color 2 your outline color. You do the whole select all cut. And then make color 2 whatever your background color used to be. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. My battery is running low. I don't know if my screen thing caught that. But okay, so then you paste, and then it's filled in all the little things. And then to get things back to normal, select all, cut. You hopefully understand the gist of how this works. Just make sure that, like, it's usually going to have transparent selection turned off whenever you open it, even if it's an old picture, so just I don't know, keep that in mind. Remember to turn it on when you need it. Alright, so I think as far as outlines go, I think I'm done with this. Maybe touch it up a little bit. Find what I've seen be called jaggies, I think. Which usually happens with pixel art, and since this does still work by pixels, it's just when you get to larger sizes, nobody can really tell. I say it still applies here. So jaggies are like when like a curve or a line is broken in a weird way. Gotta try to smooth that out. Oh no. Oh no! I hit save by mistake. Or did I? Oh no. Oh no! Not responding. Paint never not responds. Maybe it's because of all this recording programs I got open. Oh dear. Oh well, I was gonna have to save it eventually. Okay, then pick colors. A lot of the... I feel like it's kind of become a sort of challenge joke, whatever, to use the default colors in MS Paint. A lot of them are actually fine. The only two that I don't really like as much is... This is like this chartreuse right here. It's called lime, but I'm calling it chartreuse. It just kind of looks terrible. It's like eye-searing. And then this lavender doesn't look bad. It's actually kind of pleasant to look at, but it is really similar to the gray. And so I guess be wary of that. Most of the other colors, like a lot of especially my older characters are they just have the default colors. This yellow is not the best in my opinion, but it's not horrible. Oh yeah, I was gonna make this orange, and this orange is a good orange, and I'm using it. I don't know, I guess it's all subjective anyways. Should I give it yellow eyes? I don't know, maybe it'll be good to just have like blink white eyes. Gives it a nice little soulless look to it. Oh, the count by halves thing, and then numbers, is because these are on a 256 system. I know it says 255 right here, but it also goes to 0, so I don't know, I guess whenever I type in a color, it's technically like one value off from what it probably should be, but I don't think the human eye can detect that, so by count by half, since it goes to 256, and like a lot of these sort of, I guess they're called basic colors, they're different from the defaults. Like, most of these are by the half values, and so I think just by seeing these I got into the habit of doing them myself. So orange would be this, but like this straight up orange is a bit too bright, but then this orange is a bit too dull, so like having the default orange is nice, I guess. Then again, the color proportion's slightly off for this orange, so maybe... I don't know. I feel like colors could be its own thing. So this would be the blue that's like the complement to orange, and that kind of already exists in the defaults. The thing about the default colors is that like they're not exact. See, but it's like roughly the same. Again, I don't think people are going to be able to tell that well just from looking at it. It seems like too bright to be a background, so I don't know, I might not even have a background. Actually, no, I got some things on backgrounds, I might try some stuff. I guess I'll do those later. Okay, shadows and highlights. And then some stuff here. You know what, I will give it light yellow eyes just to show off something. I don't know why I went back in here. Alright. So take a shape, make it black, and then pick another shape. I usually just go with rectangles because it's easier to like see where they'll fit, but technically it's not functionally different to use other shapes. Make the fill be marker. Make color 2 be whatever color you are getting the shades and highlights for. And you just run the shape over like that, where you have one be on white, or one side be on white, one side be on black. And there's your highlight, there's your shade, and that's how I do it. I haven't seen other people do that, but I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to just kind of figure out. And then do it for this yellow, but I'm going to show you something weird about with when you're doing this to light colors. Or you might have to do something slightly different, but it's still the same basic idea. So I guess just imagine a light source somewhere. I usually just picture it like directly in front of and above the character. And I just kind of guess it, but some people like to sort of make a little indicator of where the light source is while they're just gonna eyeball it. And so, as you can see, I'm using 1 pixel curve tool to do the shadows. I don't know, I've been using curve tool so much it's kind of like second nature at this point, but I don't know how easy it is to just kind of learn curve tool. It's because it's been so long, and I'd been kind of learning to draw better in general as I was learning how to draw in Microsoft Paint, so I don't know which hurdles were part of the program and which were just part of I wasn't there yet. Yeah, that's a nice shadow color. At least I think it looks nice. Sometimes I'll see on other programs people just kind of airbrush black, and that looks kind of grimy and gross. Don't do that. Airbrush a darker version of the color. Do not. Oof. I don't remember if I complained about having to save when I did, but it is nice to save. Some programs crash. The only time I ever had Microsoft Paint crash was when I had a lot of other programs going on at the moment. Adobe Animate crashes a lot. So I guess be wary of that if you're animating or doing something else in Animate, because like it can do a lot of things that like Microsoft Paint can't. Just because I feel like it's kind of infamous at that point how primitive or how basic Microsoft Paint is. I don't know, or maybe just the fact that everybody has it, or I guess almost everybody. From what I hear, they're not shipping it with new appliances anymore. At least that's what I heard. But I think it's still free to download. And then, depending on the shape and material of your character, you might want to go about highlights in somewhat different ways. Like, one way could be you just kind of go along one of the edges and you make that highlighted. Another way you could, like, this works especially well for spherical characters. Like, so you just kind of pick a spot, you like make more of a circle of light as opposed to like one of the edges. Which I think I am gonna use that method for this character. And also different shapes, like these ear things might be better to. I think I'm still gonna use the circle way, but like more elongated because they are more elongated shapes. I feel like these highlights aren't really lining up too well, but this is partly just to show what I actually do, as opposed to, I don't know. I guess technically by this thing's face shape I probably shouldn't do cheek highlights, but I'm going to anyways. Because that's the fun of art. there more or less are no real rules. I mean, if you're trying to go realistic or something, then, like, obviously there are certain things you gotta follow, and it kind of depends on what your goal of the art is. Like, if your goal is to make something look correct, then it obviously matters a lot more if you follow the rules or not. If you're more into knowing what the rules are so that you can break them might be a bit better. Or keeping some rules and losing others to get certain effects. Like, a lot of times, my characters will have, like, somewhat normal proportion bodies, but, like, their faces will still have these, like, huge goofy eyes. I mean, this thing is, like, all the way goofy round, but it's because it's supposed to be, like, this cute little monster thing. So, kinda doesn't, like, I'm not gonna try to slap some sort of realistic animal proportions onto this, because, like, it's not supposed to be any particular animal. It's just like a little demon thing. These are the correct proportions in my head, because I made it up. Mm. Although, like, there's, even if you are going for a certain style, or breaking certain rules or whatever, there's still, like, a matter of appeal in there. So, like, you gotta do something that, even if it isn't actually correct, sometimes things that just look correct are good enough. Like, if somebody made a clay sculpture of this, you could tell where everything is and how it would be shaped, if that makes sense. Like, you can picture yourself picking this thing up and feeling it. You might not know, like, what the material is, just because of how smooth everything is on here. Well, I guess if I said out of clay, it's, like, hardened clay, obviously, but which it doesn't really look too different from the texture that I am giving it, but still. I think I missed one of the other methods to highlight this. I'm probably not going to keep it anywhere on here, but typically when I draw something and it's got, like, hair or fur or something, instead of having the highlight be a solid color, do these little zigzags. I think it kind of gives the impression of fur. I don't know if other people see it as that, but that's what I use it for, I guess. I mean, to a certain extent, it kind of doesn't matter what other people think, but, like, the whole reason that I'm doing it is because I think it looks more like it has fur, so if that's not true, I would like somebody to speak up about that. Or I guess sometimes with things, people go in with, and I do this for hair too, if I don't feel like doing anything, if I don't feel like trying to align the zigzags in the right way. Um, just do it across the nose again. The nose that it doesn't have. Sometimes I'll go in with, like, this little swooshy shape. It's probably not the place to do this, but I already got a highlight that I want to keep on the forehead, so I don't know, that kind of doesn't align at all, but I'm not planning on keeping this. Where people go in with, like, a little swoosh, and I'll use that for hair sometimes. It makes the characters look like they're made out of plastic, but at least to me, that's what they look like. And although with a shape, when characters are like this, it kind of doesn't matter what it looks like they're made out of. That's not really the point. Alright, so now we're on the eyes. This eye style is not made to be highlighted like this, but I don't know, maybe I'll give it, or not meant to be. Usually if I make eyes look like this, I usually make them blank inside, but I want to show something off. This thing needs a pupil if I'm doing this. I mean, I guess it technically doesn't, but I'm gonna try, at least. Maybe I'll erase this afterwards so it has blank eyes again, but... Okay, got the... And also this is typically more important for the character's hair if I do the zigzag highlight because of just how thin the lines are. Yeah, this looks kind of horrifying in the wrong way. I don't know, this specific style of highlighting, or I guess adding depth to eyes, I see a lot in like animation colors, but I don't know what like the basis of it is. Like I understand the top being maybe darker because of like the shadow of their eyelid maybe, but having this highlight down here doesn't usually make sense. Although that might be because I'm used to like having the light source be above the character. And maybe it's just to carry even more about the shadow, like maybe this middle region is technically also in shadow, so like their real eye color is a super bright color. I don't know. 'Cause a lot of times they'll also have... Oh, I forgot I still got the marker on the inside. Actually, this highlight's technically on the wrong side. That's one problem that I have with eyes that I keep forgetting about, is that I keep forgetting to like make the highlight consistent with where they are on the eyes, because otherwise you get like this sort of weird derp effect. There we go. Actually, it doesn't look too bad zoomed out, but as you can see, you can barely tell the highlighted second portion of the yellow. So a lot of times what I do for lighter colors when shading is make the background color be, or yeah, you make the background color be the base of the color, and then you just go over it in marker white, and then that color is the highlight. It's a lot easier to see, and instead of just using plain old white, it still looks like it belongs to that color, even though with this particular one it looks like... Yeah, you can tell it's not quite the same as having white, but it is really close. This particular one is really close, but then again, yellow is really light as far as colors go. Like, even at the same saturation as other colors, it tends to look lighter. I don't know, I might keep these eyes like this just because I went through the trouble of drawing them, but then again, there's a lot of things that I draw and I delete, or whatever. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it like the highlight yellow as the base color of the eyes, so it's kind of in between. You can't hardly see. This might have been a bad example, but hopefully you see like hopefully you take what happened and like, I guess take the results as they happen. I don't know. Backgrounds. I don't think I'll do it here just because it takes so long to open, but in Adobe Animate a lot of times I'll like go in and delete the background, or actually I could probably, while showing something else, wait for Adobe Animate to start up. So method one, you could just leave it white, or you could have it be just a basic fill color as the background. Or what you could do is Microsoft Paint can actually do gradients. I think I'm actually going to open a new thing, if it'll let me. Come on. That's one of the bonuses of MS Paint, is like a lot of other programs you might not be able to open. Erase that. Everything's taking so long because I'm opening so many other things. Oh, thought I thought I clicked Adobe Animate before I did this. But okay, so let's make this the same dimensions that the other thing was. Okay, and to do a gradient in MS Paint, I don't know, you get the line tool. I usually put it at a bit of a thickness just to make sure that the corners are in there. Then you get it in half diagonally. You make one color, or one side be one color and one side be the other color. Or you go a little bit more complicated if you want, but this is just to show off. Actually, I could go a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna have it so that it is lighter in the middle, like there's gonna be like a horizontal type of glow. And then the top and bottom are gonna be a bit darker. So you turn off maintain aspect ratio, and then since I want this to change vertically as it goes, if that makes sense. There we go. I'm gonna make it so horizontal is at 1. So you just have a straight vertical line of color. And if you rotate the canvas itself, this probably won't work, which is partly why I opened a new thing, because I can't remember if I did that or not. Otherwise you're just gonna get like blocks of color. What you want is, at least for this, is a gradient. Then you make it to whatever horizontal thing you want. It actually doesn't change the gradient how the horizontal changes, so it doesn't have to go quote-unquote back to normal. It could have been at something else than what you wanted to stretch it out as. But usually you want the vertical to stay consistent throughout the whole thing. So see how it's got that sort of middle glow in there? Then I guess I'll just use this to paste over things so you can, I don't know, see how it looks. Don't forget transparent. So the part you don't want to see is color too. And paste, and there you go. It's got that little gradient in there. You can also work for vertical, you just like do it the other way. Stackable, I don't remember. Oh, I had fills and gradients. Then I put stackable of how you can stack the things. This is going to be kind of complicated to try to explain how to do. Erase this, or undo it. Okay, so fills. Now, before I just broke out marker and solid, but there's like other things that are more of like, they're more like textures. Like here's the crayon one, and these work as like a basic textured look to it, to maybe have it be slightly more interesting than a solid color. It might be a bit distracting at this intensity, so thing about stackable is, I say stackable, but I don't know what else to call it. You could like go over it with a marker so it's a bit faded. So you still got that visual interest in there, but it's not like distracting from the character. Okay, and by what I meant by stackable, I believe, is I'm going to use like really out there color so it's easy to see what exactly is going on. So let's have it be this red on top, and let's have it transition into a yellow, which have that transition into I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but I'm trying to think of things. Let's just have these. Let's turn these into gradient. Let's have a fill. Let's go with watercolor this time. Let's give it, let's go with green, I guess. Nah, dark red. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. And so you got the texture in the main color of that fill, but then you kind of also see the gradient that was underneath it. And I don't know, is that gonna look any good next to the creature? Oh no.
Oh no!
Something changed to my clipboard. Yeah, maybe that was the wrong color to try to do that with. Let's just make like a dark blue. It's like a, go for a gray dark blue. There, that looks like it might be okay. Ooh, actually needed to be a bit more of a green blue to truly complement the character. Actually, no, did that make it cyan? I don't think I wanted it quite that far. Yeah, I think I meant something like... That's one of the problems with colors, is that sometimes I'm messing with them for... Oof. That looks kinda garbage, but I guess that's not hugely important. Maybe I will try just a pure saturated blue. See how that looks. Or maybe... see... No, that was right to do with this, with these proportions. I'm trying to figure out the difference between like a cyan and azure, which like it's different color proportions, and they're all like blue. Everyone just recognizes those all as blue. Well, sometimes I see cyan be called green, but that's kind of the nature of cyan. It's supposed to be in between blue and green. Yeah, I don't think that's dark enough, actually. I'll get it one of these times. Oh hey, Adobe Animate remembered to only open up on half the screen. How nice of it. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah, so could use something like this. And then I also have a bullet point that says Pseudo Masks. Let's have a circle in the middle here. Let's say I wanted to fill that circle with different color. I don't know why I got the... As long as the color isn't already on here, it'll work. Actually, I did it wrong order. So you got the background as it is. Now I'm gonna make a pseudo mask, which if you've used I think Photoshop has masks. I think that's where I learned what a mask was. At least in this context. Yeah, I was gonna just use circles. Okay, so you make sure they're different colors. Kinda doesn't matter what colors, just as long as, like, whatever you use this for, it does not, like, MS Paint doesn't confuse the mask for a part of the drawing just because of the colors, so I guess maybe having black and white is, like, the easiest to look at, but let's have it be... Actually, no, I used that yellow for the thing. Let's have it be purple and green. So, I don't know, let's say I wanted to have like a... So the creature was like looking through something. I don't know if it's aligned right, but... And then, yeah. So it's like underneath that. I'm just gonna align it, and luckily since everything worked out, I can just fill this in with the other color. And then select all, copy. I didn't really have a script for how to describe this, but yeah, so could I had this kind of thing going on. I'm saying this partly with the idea that like you guys know what I'm talking about when I say a mask. I mean, it works like an actual real mask where you got something covering, but then there's like holes in it. But it's not necessarily to look through. Hopefully you can tell by what I did, what I'm talking about. I don't know. But that's another thing you can try doing. Or I'd once used it to try to make this fire effect that I thought looked kind of cool. I'm gonna attempt it right here. Oof. Forgive me if this ends up being a weird, confusing mess. I'm not gonna make this perfect because I'm not gonna keep it. And since like the rest of this was a flat color, I could just fill that in. There, that's the gist of what I was trying to do is you got that shape, and I had used the marker to make translucent. When translucent over it made it so like the rest of it was pretty much invisible. And so, hold on, I'm seeing like something weird. Go down. No, that's correct dimensions. Notice like a weird line of color that I don't know what happened there. Probably just didn't fill something in correctly. But yeah, that's one thing you can also try doing. I hope that wasn't too rushed where you don't know what the heck I did. Maybe I'll write down instructions. Oh well, that's enough messing around with these kinds of things. I might use that texture actually for the background. But then again, it might just be because I have a thing for rainbows. I probably would have clicked on this sooner if I knew this was gonna have loading, because usually it starts out sooner, but then again, like, MS Paint was lagging a bit when it was trying to save, so I probably should have guessed that everything would be a bit slower because I'm trying to record it. I think that's why there's all this lag is. Alright, so yeah, always remember to save your work, kids. Alright, now to delete this one and import the correct version of it. Alright, so probably didn't see me actually get the thing because I got some pictures in there that I do not want to show people, I guess, or do not want them to be discovered. Like it's nothing like horrible. It's not like porn or anything, but I don't know. There was a time where there was a thing and I wanted to make an edgy joke, but let's just say things happened. And that joke, while when I was making it would have been appreciated, due to an incident that had happened, I thought it would be a bit too offensive. Yeah, so I just have this picture, and I like the picture, and had that not happened, it would have been a funny thing, so I don't know, I can't bring myself to delete it, but I don't, yeah. So what I did was I had that thing selected, modify, break apart, and that's so that I can get out the magic wand tool, click the background color, delete, then I can export it. And there's probably easier ways to do this, but this is how I know how to do it. Export image. And I gotta wait for the thing to pop up. Although, yeah, so you might not actually see me like save and name it or whatever for a similar reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being really paranoid about this, but come on, where's my export image thing? Respond, darn you. For some reason, the export image window is like too big for my computer, so I can only just barely hit the save button. Oh. Oh yeah, because the last thing I worked on was the little teddy bear picture, so... Okay, so you can see this part. Where would I put this? Would it be in miscellaneous? Probably. And so that version of the picture doesn't have a background because I deleted it on here. Like in the program it looks white, but if I like upload it to somewhere like DeviantArt, it just won't have a background. So whatever the background color of wherever you're putting it is, it'll be that. It's got a transparent background. Although I think, I don't know, I like how this rainbow thing turned out. I think I'm gonna use that as its actual background. Maybe I'll upload two versions of it. One with, maybe one with a transparent, one with solid. Maybe I'll be able to get them like next to each other or something. I don't know. I don't know, I believe that's all the things that I had to say about how to do an MS Paint that I know how to do. Perhaps there's something else. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure other people have like their own tricks and stuff. I think the only truly valuable thing that I put in here was how to get the shades and highlights, just because I use it so regularly and I don't see anybody else do it. Yeah, I guess that's all I need then.